Well, good evening, and thank you for joining us this evening. It is Thursday, September 25th, 2025. I would like to call this business meeting of the Clear Creek School District Board of Education to order. It is 5:30 p.m.
Flanagan. Here. Haig. Here. King. Here. McHugh. Here. Norm.
Here.
I move to approve the agenda as presented. I'll second.
Flanagan.
Yes.
Haig.
Yes.
King.
Yes.
McHugh.
Yes.
Norm.
Yes. Say, our community, friends, neighbors have been through a lot in the last few weeks. Today, we pause to remember those that have been affected by the recent tragedy that has shaken our mountain community. Every student deserves to feel safe and secure in their learning environment, and every parent should feel confident when they send their children to school each morning. The unthinkable should never happen in our schools, places that should be sanctuaries of learning, growth, and hope. We want to reassure our school community that we are committed to maintaining a safe environment. Our school has comprehensive safety protocols in place, including emergency response procedures, security measures, regular safety drills, communication systems, and the like. But we continuously review and update these measures in partnership with our local law enforcement and safety experts. We recognize that healing requires the support beyond just physical safety. Our school counselors, mental health professionals, and support staff have been and continue to be available to help students, families, and staff process the difficult emotions and find the resources that they need. No one should face these challenges alone, and we want everyone to know that it is okay to not feel okay. As we observe this moment of silence, we support those who are hurting and reaffirm our commitment to creating a safe, caring environment where every member of our school community can thrive. If you would join me. Thank you. We also have regular safety committee meetings that we hold monthly, quarterly.
It has been monthly in the
Okay.
past, yes.
We have just formed a long-term planning committee whose focus is prioritizing capital projects within the Clear Creek School District community. I'm grateful for all of these community members that have joined us this evening. Would you mind just introducing yourselves and what you do here in the community? And Kelly, we're going to get you too. Hiding over there. Okay.
Matt Brown, I'm the undersheriff with Clear Creek County.
Thanks.
Eric Rubin, I oversee the patrol division.
Seth Marquardt, I oversee our special operations division.
Bo Campbell, I'm the school resource officer here at the high school, middle school.
It's you, Kelly.
Kelly Baby, Fire Chief for Clear Creek Fire.
Thank you so much for being here with us this evening. Okay, would you like to do a little framing, or can we go to Q&A?
I think you covered the things that we're working on to make sure we provide a safe, secure environment for learning. That includes having our SRO here at the high school. And thank you very much. My words I shared today, my communication, I really meant them. And I appreciate all the work you do during the school day and all the work you do after the day for our students. Watching you work is like magic. Your connection with the students, they all know you. They come to seek you out for not just questions about safety and security, but also too about advice and mentoring. And so I appreciate that work you do. Everyone knows you as that in that role. And so I do want to thank you for that.
Thank you.
And then we are continually working on how we can provide safety measures in our schools and improving them. As we all know, those come with a price. And so trying to make sure we keep that balance of the needs of our safety and security along with our make sure we're fiscally responsible too. And as was mentioned, I always encourage us to review our safety protocol, but also to our parents and our students. If you hear something or see something, you need to say something about it. Because in my experience, working in public education, there's someone who knew about it before it happened. And so the sooner we can address those things, the faster we can make sure it doesn't become a problem where someone gets hurt. And working in a large district next door, there's always someone who knew about that before it happened. And so I always encourage people to use Safe to Tell. It's free, it's anonymous, and it gives us parameters to address the concern. We have the details we need to look into it. And in most cases, it's factual information, and it really saves people's lives, prevents a kid from harming themselves, and allows us as district and school leaders to address it. So, and that's what I want to share, and then open up to our folks here.
I was going to start with the board members,
Sure.
just to see if you all have any specific questions that you'd like to start with. Okay. Then,
I don't have questions.
I don't have a question either.
I would like to say something on behalf of the, as a board member that's worked with you guys on the safety committee and have done the things and gone through some of these fun exercises. Like that 600-page document that you all endeavored to get accomplished. And it's a tool that we didn't have, that now we have, and it's a roadmap to allow for what to do in these incidences as well. You guys have been very much a part of the security layout of our schools, all of the schools, when we do the audits of the doors and the audits of the lights or the locks. You were a part of that intricately because we wanted to also make sure that you had the appropriate access during these incidences as well. And I think that we've come a long way in that process, and that I feel that I know that you guys are a partner, that we aren't like, hey, what are those dudes doing? You guys are here with us and you're helping us. And I just think that, when I talked to a parent last night, I don't think were aware of the extent that you guys are intimately involved in these decisions and the things that happen. And when I say things like we have done an audit of, the glazing of windows and that sort of thing, but nobody's going to tell you where the glazing of the windows are or where we decided to put them, and for good reason. Even I don't need to know that. Only the law enforcement and fire and all those folks need to know that. And so I think a lot of this might be educating our public to know also just how involved you really are. I don't think that they do. So thank you.
I think one other piece, just in the involvement, I know that today you are all involved with, but in partnership also with Idaho Springs Police on different drills that happen regularly. And the kids know you, they trust you, you are supporting them as they do those things. And I think that's not a one-off, those are really continual things that you all do with our kids starting at a very early age. So I just wanted to add the drill component in because those exercises save lives, and you have been a wonderful partner at all of our facilities in providing calm in a scary situation for our little ones and doing these drills on a regular basis. So these things are important and top of mind. So I wanted to add that, and I think our community, if they don't know that is happening on a regular basis, I think that's a really important thing for our community to know. And it's not just at Carlson, that's just the one that happened today.
Right.
I do want to reiterate what Carrie Ann said, just talking about how there are a lot of safety and security protocols that have been implemented in the school district that we can't say out loud for security reasons. So I think that's just important to say again, because we're not saying these things out loud, don't mean that they're not in place. And so I think that's just really important for the community, the staff, the parents, everybody to understand that we take this very, very seriously. And that's something that Carrie Ann has been talking about ever since she got on this board and how important that is to her. So I appreciate that and the time that you've put into this. I think it's very important. So I just wanted to kind of elevate that again, that there are a lot of things that we can't actually say out loud.
the one other piece is what Erica really helped us with last spring in how do we respond after the fact.
Right.
So
So last year I implemented or helped the school district kind of adapt Jeffco's crisis response handbook that they had to Clear Creek. And so essentially what that does is it allows us to take care of our kids and our staff should something happen. And whether it be the loss of a student from an illness to something a little bit more tragic like what happened in Evergreen. I think we are now capable of having a pathway forward for helping our students and our staff through kind of the mental and emotional piece and that toll that can happen from a crisis event.
When I was seeing some of the communications from everyone, I'm like, oh, that's part of the plan.
Yeah.
That was in the book.
Yeah, I'd like to open it. Like I know Ashley, you had some questions and comments if you'd like to.
Yeah, so I'm a parent at King Murphy, and I was there, I guess during the lockdown, part one DHS was, there's stuff going on, but I guess one of the questions that I have is, response time to King Murphy, like I think it could be like 20 to 25 minutes from conversations that I had for Clear Creek, depending on where you guys are, Jeffco 8 to 10 minutes. I guess like every second counts, right, in a situation. And you guys obviously don't have to tell me like how often you're there and stuff like that, but is there gonna be an increased presence at King Murphy, or is there some sort of volunteer program that you guys would be willing to partnership, like having, ex retired police officers, come in and volunteer time that are armed in the school. That way we're not, taking away an SRO resources or having to budget that. Just, I did email the sheriff's department this morning, so there is an email out there, but just more like, is there, you guys don't have to answer it on the spot either, but is that something that you guys would potentially be willing to look at?
I think we both can talk to this a little bit. I did get your email.
Oh, okay.
I read it today, and we are discussing it. I'm not in a position to make promises at this point, but I did know that we're suggesting the possibility of volunteers who are armed, obviously appropriately trained and so forth, to respond in the event of a school shooter. And I totally understand. I'm not ready, and I'm not sure the Undersheriff was ready at this point either to say, yes, that's good, or no, there's some obstacles in our way, but we are aware of it at this point. I think that we're ignoring it.
Oh, no, I didn't expect a response today anyway, so,
Okay.
I mean, they're all aware, I've been on their email chains as well, so.
It's nice to put a face to the name.
In terms of patrol, obviously we make the schools a high priority. We always want to be able to patrol the areas as best we can. The patrol deputies are very much aware of the necessity and the desire to be in those locations. Now, can I promise you we will always be right around the corner? I can't do that. I can tell you this, that the patrol deputies are very committed to the safety of students and teachers and so forth in our schools. And we'll be able to do everything in their power to get here as quickly as we can. Intervene to promote public safety and save lives. I can guarantee that. But you brought up an interesting point, and the superintendent may get tired of hearing this, but he and I talked about this a while back, and it is the concept of the communications device, or not device, but app called LifeSpot. Oh, you've got it. Were you getting ready to talk about that today? Or?
I can share some information, but go ahead. You know more about it than I probably ever know within your role, so.
I won't go into too many details about it, but basically something you said is important. That is, seconds can make a difference. Our ability to get here quickly potentially can save lives. So LifeSpot enables us to have pretty much a single broadcast to public safety entities, Sheriff's Department, Fire Department, EMS, and so forth, all at the same time. It's even quicker than 911. Now, it's easy for me to spend your money. I get it. There's a cost associated with this. But I think at the end of the day, it's easy for me to spend your money, but at the end of the day, the cost of this particular item is well worth it when you compare that against the loss of life. And so I just would ask that you consider it. I know your budget is tight. We can have those conversations offline if you'd like to see about maybe there's some creative ways to fund it. But I think our ability to get here as quickly as possible is very important. But I won't go into details. I know this is a meeting with a lot of other topics.
If you don't mind me following up, I would encourage the parents at King Murphy, at Carlson, and Georgetown to consider the Watchdog program. The Watchdog program is a voluntary program that parents participate in being on site, and making sure that people coming and going from the building are being monitored, and also checking the doors on a regular basis. It's a very powerful program, and our other districts around the area. It really just depends on parents making sure that if they're going to sign up, or if it's important to their community, that there's someone every day at the school, because the school becomes dependent upon having a watchdog parent or grandparent be available. And there's some information you can get online about the kind of the training and some of the things you want to put in place for supporting those parents. But it does empower you as a parent to, you have a radio that you have with you, that you're checking people. And so you get a sense of like, okay, I'm part of the solution for making sure the school's safe.
I would just add that Carlson has had that program in the past, and it kind of ebbs and flows with parents' time and energy, but that infrastructure of that program exists in our district and is much easier to kind of pick up an existing thing and just do it again than to try to reinvent. So I'm glad we talked about that. I was going to mention that too. It's a really cool kind of a program that does get parents and grandparents and safe, trusted adults into the school. And I think does have really big impact, not just in safety, but in also just kind of giving kids more safe adults. I think is also really great. And like I said, it was in Carlson for several years, and I think has kind of fallen out due to, just involvement and volunteership. But I think it's a very effective program that is easy to run. And I know you did some stuff with that too.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, so from the parent side of things, I don't live in Clear Creek County currently, but I do live in Jefferson County, and the school that my sons went to had the Watchdog program. And it was really successful, so it's just dads that want to be involved, and there was like a pizza party and everyone came to talk about it. But just having a presence there, so like you would be outside with the kids at recess and hanging out with them, and then after everybody went in, securing the doors, but meeting kids as they got off, and then as the day progressed, you were just kind of in the front area of things and just kind of patrolling. So the one thing is with the armed version of it that you have to be really careful with about having armed personnel that you don't know. Like I would get the special calls from the principal saying, hey, like, could you come be a watchdog this day? Because he knew I was in law enforcement. But I think as a responder, you have to be careful with having identified security in the school, because they could be acting in a security realm, but they could be taken as being the shooter. So there's that. So, but just having a presence in the school, like if you look at the data from Watchdog and like having just that presence, not only is it valuable for the kids to have the male mentors in there, but it just has been really successful. Plus the parent, like, I mean, it was great. I got to go show my kids SWAT gear in class, or read a book with my kid, or, get to meet people. So I think that's a low cost but high effect turn to be a deterrent, is just having more presence in the school. Not to detour armed security, but I just think that you open up a different problem when you talk about that. And I'd be more fearful that someone could end up in a situation, because even with me being armed, dropping off my son, I was called into a watchdog that I was armed coming in. So, it's dual focus on that. So I just think there's value to that, which is a low impact cost to the district, but it's a visual deterrent, and, having that year round, I think when time does matter, if the quicker you get that information out and you have somebody visible in the school, I think it works if you don't have SRO. So I was a big believer. I did that all the way through my kids' program, and it was rewarding as a parent, but as a dad, knowing that there was other people in the school, I think that was a peace of mind with it as well. So I know everyone's got budget problems and tight money, but I think that's something that's a low cost. It's been a program forever. They give you a shirt to wear that you were labeled so people knew who you were. They had like Watchdog of the Month. I mean, it's a fun incentive to do it, but it's just the buy-in from the parents to do it. But, during this climate, when one of these events happens, unfortunately, there's a lot of interest, and it's kind of a prime time to start a program like that. And that's when I know that Jefferson County did, was after Columbine and some of that. And then more so after like the Platte Canyon, like it just, after those surges of violence, there's a lot more interest in that. So if you're trying to bring a program on, that's a great way to start it, because it's at the forefront of it.
Is that something that has to be approved through the board or the school?
It's already adopted by the district,
Is
so
it?
you,
Okay, so
you
we
could
could
go
just
ahead,
take any additional
right?
approvals.
in the
Not
P-
the armed piece, but
Yeah.
And really work with the PTSA, because they have a network of connecting with parents and bringing the incentives for the parents to participate, the pizza party, the t-shirt, whatever that is. I will tell you, in my experience with having the Watchdog in the schools, it really changes the culture, having the parent there kind of being that role. And they also serve as ambassadors, so they welcome people to the school, and it's just a great way of making a connection.
Yeah, Yeah.
One more question, if you don't mind, I'm so sorry. I talked to Karen about it last night too. What about like AI cameras that detect, like weapons on campus early and send like an automatic response? Is that something that you guys have any, like, if we were able to raise funds for school, could I reach out to you guys for like cameras that actually work, or you guys have experience with any of that?
I don't know what there is for technology as far as detecting weapons.
Okay.
But there's a program called Flock cameras, we're actually looking into. There's a lot of differences of opinions with it, but we're looking at investing in that program. We will have a mobile camera that we could potentially put like in front of King Murphy or in the school, and what it does is it'll hit on a license plate and let us know who is coming into the school, whether they have some sort of criminal history, a sex offender, any kind of information like that. We would end up getting that kind of information in real time. But as far as somebody coming in armed, I don't know if that technology really exists. And I could see there being probably some differences of opinion on invasion of privacy and stuff like that, right? So that's a bigger conversation, but there are some other similar options.
But what you could do, if a school chooses to use the Raptor program, it is a simple way of having parents who come to the school, they take their driver's license, they slide it in the machine, it gives you a color telling you if they're okay to come in or not. It uses CBI as their database. And so typically, if a parent does not show up green on the thing, they're escorted through the building, so they have an adult with them while they're in the building. Just to make sure we always have them on our site and near proximity to us. But that's a great thing. I think it's around $600 or $700 per school for subscription to it. But it's a great way of helping making sure you as a parent, the people coming in the building, have met the criteria to come in the building, and they don't have any felony charges or anything like that on their record.
Yeah, just a little bit to speak to Flock. So Flock is used for aiding investigations, but also what's nice about Flock is like if you had a safe to tell or something like that and flags a person, then we can put in indicators on it, like to watch a vehicle, like if it was related to that. So there's an investigative tool to that that's helpful. Outside of physically screening people coming into schools, like that's really ultimately what that's another cost of
I
having.
think it was Flock that actually pinpointed the girl that was kidnapped.
Yeah, it was.
Day before yesterday. It was that Flock system that actually caught the car.
So we look at Flock not from, it's obviously a talk because of the federal for immigration. We're not looking at Flock for that, but like Evergreen mailbox thefts, like having a mobile unit to be able to detect vehicles, times, places, volume of traffic, so the portable ones are nice because we could put one at the school to be able to not keep track of what everyone's doing, but like if you did have a safe to tell that was reported, or you do have suspicion or Bo has information, you could flag a plate, like say that the kids are suspended from the school, that they leave, they go to a different school, but you're still worried about the presence or a threat to that school, you could enter like license plates that would flag that if it was to be, and then you get a notification to your phone that plate is in a certain area. So there's ways to aid it, but there's no, I'm not familiar with a system that you could physically detect, see weapons on people coming in without having like a metal detector and having kids go through that.
So we do have Flock in Georgetown, and as small as that is,
Right.
We have, I think we have 3 or 2 cameras in Georgetown.
Yeah, so
And I'm wondering if we could look at the placement of that and say, okay, we're covering Vanilla Pass, but we're also covering the school right here.
right, and so Idaho Springs just recently got 2, mainly looking what's coming in.
Right,
Idaho Springs,
yeah.
right, and so we put in a budget for 6. That's currently, we're in the middle of it, so, but part of our area would be this school as well.
Right.
And then identifying areas like King Murphy where response time is, could be extended, to be able to just see what's going on. One, because like you gotta figure what crimes are occurring and like where they're occurring, and then what your most vulnerable points are to figure that out. So the school's definitely one, but also in that area, what attracts people is the mailboxes. Like that's, people know that during the holiday season they come, and it's almost like clockwork where things happen every year. So if we know that, and we have the data behind it, then we can move some of these cameras to be able to support investigations for that, but it speed up our response if we know we have a suspicious vehicle or a predator vehicle or something like that in the area.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, any other questions about security in the schools?
The last thing I want to say, right, we talk a lot about potential systems that hit on felonies or all these different things, right? The reality is most of the time it's a student. So a lot of these different technology isn't necessarily gonna work. I think the best thing we can do within the schools is what we've already been doing, setting safety protocols and practicing those, right? It's not a popular thing to practice lockdown drills, and a lot of parents hesitate to put their kid through that, but it is vital to be able to do that. The lockdown drills are proven to work, right? That's not just somebody came up with. They're very effective. So we come up here and we practiced it. We get good feedback and negative feedback of why are we doing this, and some people love it, some people hate it. So I think it's on the staff here, right, to educate the other staff on the importance of it. Obviously, right now, everybody's gonna be like, oh yeah, it's important, right, because there was a tragedy. But in a couple of years, when that tragedy has passed, right, everybody kind of gets a little bit more relaxed. So really staying on the gas and continuing to practice these drills and educate people, being transparent on what y'all are doing and how we're partners and working together at King Murphy, at every school in the county. So I think it's important. I think you just gotta continue that. There's a lot of technology, but really the reality is it's gonna be a student most likely in the school that isn't gonna get picked up on a felony scanner or an ID scanner at the front door type stuff. Right? So just really having those protocols in place and practicing them every year like we've been doing and you also have been doing. So.
And I think there's a lot of networking that we do with the fire department and with paramedics, like that we work on like mass incidents and leading up to those. Because just like you have new students and new teachers, and we have new cops and new paramedics and new firemen. So like we practice drills here in the high school. It's been several years with Jeffco Sheriff's Office, but we're really working on relationships in that capacity with working with our responders to be able. So we have predetermined places to be able to stage things, and like not just with schools, right? The county building. What the Safeway in Idaho Springs, anything that's a high area for people and that response, because being on the I-70 corridor, right, when you get a response like you get Evergreen, and so many first responders, like the quicker you can identify those things, then you can identify the incident wherever you're dealing with it at. So we can't talk about specific plans for that, but know that if we work with our neighboring agencies like Jefferson County, like we'll be involved with the debrief from the Evergreen shooting, and we're constantly sharing information, working to be able to share channels with Jefferson County for them to be able to hear our channels as well. So there's a networking. So like we all want to make sure that we're in line, like you were saying with what Jefferson County does, like our plans go in line. So when they respond up here, so we're working at regionalizing training with our partners and putting together a larger scale incident in the near future and what that would look like, right? So I think it's just continuing to evolve and continuing to practice these, continuing to just keep looking for ways to improve our safety. I mean, Bo is instrumental in having a school which has been in this position for a long time, and I think it's huge value, right? Having an SRO, like that's your first big step, is having that. And then just the planning that goes on from if not, but when, and like, how can we make this the best response? What can we do, with trying to narrow costs and budgets, like what are the most effective tools to be able to do this? And a lot of it for us is training to do that in education, but Safe to Tell that's such a valuable tool. So many things are caught, because of a Safe to Tell, and it leads to, criminal prosecution or some kid being caught with a weapon or something like that. So just being able, whether it's verified or not, just being able for kids, encourage the parents to do that, because there's a lot of value in that.
Sorry.
No, please go ahead.
When you're referring to the safety protocol, if you go to the I Love You Guys Foundation, that's what it says online, it talks through the steps we follow and the classification. So many times when we would send out information about what status the school's in, if there's an emergency situation, that's a great place of reference to get some clarity about what does it mean to be in secure status or something else, so that you have a sense of what that means to your student and how you should respond to it. Because a lot of times when we go into these safety situations, if it was real, we don't want parents coming to the site because we put you in harm's way too. So we'll put that information out about saying that to make sure that you understand. This last situation, we were in that situation, so parents could come pick their students up, but we want to make sure you're aware of those. So.
Just so you know, the I Love You Guys is adopted district-wide. So it's in every school. It's not just.
It's pretty much throughout the state of Colorado.
It's district-wide, so every school follows that standard response.
And the nice thing is we're all the same, uses the same language. So when someone comes from Jefferson County, they come from Arvada, wherever they're coming from to help support their situation, we all speak the same language with them, and we have the same hierarchy of control of the situation. So initially, the principal of the school is in charge, but when law enforcement shows up, we turn that over to them because they're the experts in the situation, and we stay the status of supporting them in that process.
Carrie
Is there a
Ann
way you
and
could push that information out to parents if they're not aware of it, so they know kind of where to recruit you?
Sure.
then Carrie Ann and then Melanie.
I was just gonna say that your point about, communicating with the other agencies outside of our area is so key as well. And then having everybody on the I Love You Guys kind of platform is pretty great, because I think at least 10,000 people showed up, police LE showed up to the incident last week, and it was, from what I'm understanding, they had quite a bit of a response that wasn't necessarily Jeffco.
Correct. Yeah,
Right.
it was.
That's
So a
very-
question from Melanie.
For those of us who are in the school building day in and day out, I know we build relationships with students and both here, having those relationships too, but is there something, like, is there a trigger? Is there something we can look for that will help us? I know we can call Safe to Tell if we hear something or see something, but is there some kind of training that we as staff can have to have our eyes more open to potential problems?
Well, as far as on the school setting, I'm gonna use you as a good example. There's been times where you've come to me and said, this just doesn't look right? So it's that hunch, that vibe, just by you reading the child and seeing the child and knowing the child, that something is just not fitting right, gives us the opportunity to go, all right, let's go talk to the child. So believe it or not, you already know what to do. It's just a matter of you speaking up and saying, there's something wrong, right? It's no different than the kids saying something when they see something wrong, but also the teachers, which I would say all of our teachers do that here. I've seen it day to day. But the other part that I have a hard time with is at home, right? Where does it really starts at home and being able to inform not only law enforcement, but the school. So I think where we forget is to educate our parents a little bit more in regards to looking into your kid's phone. Ask them what they're doing. Know what they're doing. Going to the garage a lot. Why do they go to the garage all the time? Those types of things. So as educators, I will tell you this school does a great job. But you already do it.
I'd like to say too that, Bo, I've had a lot of interactions with you. We've had a lot of great conversations. I really appreciate everything that you do here at this school. And one of the things that I see all the time from Bo that I appreciate so much is the positive interactions that he has with students. There's a way to say to a kid wandering in the hallway, like, hey, what's going on? What are you doing, buddy? Versus why are you out here in the hallway? There's never any of that from you. It's always a positive relationship, building experience between you and the kid, but you're also doing your job and checking in, like, why are you wandering around in the middle of the day? I'd like to know this. And so I just want to say that I really appreciate that you work so hard to have those positive relationships with kids. And I know that they appreciate that too.
Thank you.
And as we acknowledge the work of the law enforcement, I also want to acknowledge our groups in the community to support our students in the aftermath. Resilience 1220, we have folks from Idaho Springs come to support our students. We had other Jefferson County JCMH also sent people up to here to support our students and also to Evergreen. So we really have a connection with the community to make sure our students are supported 360 in their situations they come up. But again, thank you all for what you do, and thank you, Bo, for your leadership and your connection with our students and staff, because you're trusted and you make a big difference here.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Before we
you, guys.
close out, I just want to see if there were any other questions from the community. Or comments, yeah, sure. All right, well, then I'd just love to thank you all for creating the space in your day to be here with us and to answer questions. And Kelly, thanks for sitting with the good kids.
have a lot of thoughts and things to say, but I think it would be more productive at the safety meeting level rather than here.
We'll see you there.
And I
Yes.
will engage in that and most likely replace what we've been sending, so that there's more interaction.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your.
Yeah, you're welcome to stay as long as you'd like, but now that there's a football game.
Yeah. I would just say, to answer your question though, like what to look for, like that's a really difficult conversation. Like I've been doing this for like 25 years. I've been to a lot of tactical symposiums about that, and the FBI has a lot of statistics about it, but there's kids that show a lot of red flags, and then there's kids that just don't show anything. So I think like Bo says it exactly well, but that's, I think, the importance of having a watchdog program in an elementary school, like is having that male model influence to be there as well, to engage with the kids, because there's a lot of kids that have broken homes and have a hard time, and they just need someone positive in their life to see that. So I think that value is a school safety value, but it's also such a value to the kids. So I would just say, like, you could look at statistics, but any kid could meet that mold. But I mean, Bo's right with parenting, but I just think the watchdog to me in the elementary setting is just a great way, because then if you don't have that role model at home, or you're maybe feeling that way, you've got support, and you see people like to lean on you. I was surprised about the amount of kids that would come and talk to me, not knowing I was even a cop, because I didn't tell them that. But, I just think that's a great way to engage your community, and I just think there's a lot of value to that. So, but yeah, that's a great question. I think that's a question that everybody asks. I mean, there's extremists on both sides, and then there's the kids that just have a bad day. So it's all along that. So, but monitoring graffiti, monitoring threats, monitoring safe to tell, like those are the ways that we take it all serious. So, but that's a really great question. I wish we had a defined answer on that, but no, I appreciate it. And then anything that you guys have input, we participate in the safety team meetings, but if there's any questions that arise that you guys get, I'm happy to answer any of those, and we will. So, but yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Congratulations on your new role too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
See you
Thanks.
guys next time.
Thank you.
The game's at 7, right?
Yeah.
It is. There's volleyball going
I
on.
know, I was watching
We've
that.
got a space to fill.
All right, thank you guys.
Thank you.
I'd love to move on to our Board of Education updates. Kelly?
I don't have a lot to update this month, but what I would share is that as the legislative session starts getting moving, or at least thinking about ideas, this is a great time to think about pieces that might be helpful. We'll look at our resolution later in our agenda around the healthy school meals for all. So I've been doing some work on that resolution and some ensuring that that schools are taken care of first. I think I mentioned this in our study session, but I think it's important to reiterate again that by no means would that program, if it is passed by the voters, it doesn't change the ability for the healthy school meals for all. And then this would just be my pitch that as you get your ballots, that is something that you should vote for.
That's it. Thanks.
On my side, as far as Resilience 1220, I know Superintendent Paxton already kind of addressed this, but Resilience 1220 has spent a lot of time in the schools these last few weeks in response, just making sure that our kids and our staff are okay. Resilience has also extended an offer for, as some of you may know, we provide 10 free therapy sessions for teens ages 12 to 20. In light of what has happened, we're extending that offer even further than that. So even if a teen has already taken advantage of those 10 free sessions, we will give them more sessions if they feel like they need more time processing what has happened. We're also extending that offer for 3 free sessions to all educators. So if any educators, are experiencing any difficulties, with kind of coping with this, I encourage you to reach out to Resilience 1220. On a positive note for Resilience 1220, we have invited a 10th grader here from Clear Creek to join our youth advisory, our board, Resilience 1220 board, as a youth advisor member, and we are very, very excited to have her. And I think she's just going to be a fantastic voice for Clear Creek High School to kind of help us in this, mental health journey that we are all on. And then just a quick update from our BOCES meeting. All positions are filled for 25-26, which is super exciting on the BOCES side. And then also, Dr. Jones has been looking for a new transportation service. That would be a lot.
Why are you looking at me?
I don't know why, but sorry.
Just look at both.
Okay. So a lot less expensive. So there are just a few things that we have to review to see if that is going to work out. But if it does, that will save us a lot of meetings. Yay.
Yeah.
That's my update.
I don't have too much. I attended the September DAC meeting. It was not well attended just because there was other activities going on. I think our plan for October is to talk about our goals for this year. And we're planning on spending less time on the survey, which last year, that's pretty much all we worked on. We think the survey is in pretty good shape just to roll it forward, maybe with a couple tweaks. And then we will also appoint a new chair. I believe that's on the agenda for next month. And then I attended earlier this week with Wes and Jessica, breakfast with the superintendent here at in this library. I thought it was pretty well attended
Very well.
by both educators and parents, and it's kind of a question and answer with Wes, and he did great responding to all the concerns and questions that everybody brought forth. And I look forward to Georgetown with Carrie.
Marcy, I know, I heard from a parent that they had applied for one of the open DAC spots, but I don't see appointments on our agenda. Is there just some time?
Well,
that
I
needs to
think
go
I
through?
talked to Lori about that.
Okay.
We pushed it forward to October
Okay,
since,
sweet.
yeah,
Thank you.
DAC's kind of just now getting going.
Perfect. Thank you.
So most of my month has been recuperating from my month. Got the daughter off to her thing. I did visit Georgetown Community School and checked out all of their new aquaponics scene. And you guys probably got the newsletter and saw that they're actually using the lettuce that they grow to feed the kids at lunchtime. For goodness sakes, kids are eating less.
Love it.
So I can't wait to see them eat onions or peppers to see how that rolls.
Kitchen manager there, so.
They did decide not to go with, what Peter Werlin wanted us to put trout in the aquaponics, and then they were gonna eat the trout and all that. The kids don't wanna eat the fish. And name them and pet them and, call them Sam. So they ended up with some koi, so they're not going to go with the eating of the fishes. They're gonna use those fish as part of their science class to train them to do things. So there's science and then, that. I attended the chat committee this past time. I think it may be the last one for a bit. We are working on a presentation to the Board of County Commissioners on the activities there and then our thoughts and ideas for how to keep that program going, as well as where does it fit, overall. They did get granting, which I think, I'm gonna say 2 years. I actually think it's 3 years. I think they have the granting for an additional 2 years. It may actually be 3 years. So that was good news from the chat side of things. The one thing that came out of that meeting was a pretty hefty discussion about them proceeding with the encryption of the dispatch system within our county and what that would look like. So there's quite a bit of a debate about that. And, I think people have thoughts one way or the other, and that is probably something that's gonna be discussed a little more heavily amongst the county commissioners, and whether or not they can expense encrypting everything, or if they can just encrypt a channel. Nobody wants to call in knowing that their worst day of their life is gonna be broadcast to the rest of the world. But also, when you live on I-70, and you hear the siren, you want to know whether or not you can function. So there's a balance there, and I think that they're working on that. So that's all I have.
So, yes, I attended BOCES meetings, breakfast with the superintendent. I've also been working with our early childcare and learning committee in Clear Creek. We, again, we had over $87,000 in scholarships awarded to our preschool families. So that's pretty amazing. So that's been some really amazing work, and it looks like they might have secured a location for next summer's childcare, because that's been a work in process, but but yeah, I'll keep it short this month.
For the superintendent's report, I attended my first football game here. I brought good luck with me. They beat Buyers, which was a really tough team, so I think they're in line to have a good season after that. That was great. Tuesday morning's breakfast, the superintendent, I didn't fix breakfast, but there was a great breakfast, the spread the school put out. It was well attended, it was great. Got a chance to answer some questions, make connections with folks. I'm looking forward to doing a second one here in the spring with the community. And my next one coming up is at King Murphy on Thursday. Let's see here. I think it's the 2nd. Yes, breakfast the 2nd at King Murphy. If you missed the one we had here on Tuesday and your kid goes to King Murphy, please join us there at the school. I did a Rotary presentation to the Rotarians here at the Clark Creek Rotary Club. And
I heard about that.
and I had a great experience with that. They finally had to pull me off the stage because I had so much to share about what's going on in the district. So but that was fun. And then they invited me, which I took advantage of yesterday. I did a tour of the Argo mine and the new gondola system. I want to reiterate for the folks in the room and the educators in the room that that is a free tour. So if you ever want to participate in that, I encourage you to do so. I did the abbreviated, but I wanted more. So the full day tour is a great experience. And they are really amped up. Mary Jan, I met her and she shared about the gondola and having it finished by April, I believe, because we have some students here who are looking forward to having a celebration in the spring there. And so, and if it all comes together, it's going to be an amazing place to have an event because you have the view of all the peaks. And it took me a second because I was looking out there and I saw the color changing. I was like, that makes sense. It's that time of year. I didn't expect to see the snow on the top of the peaks. And so it's already starting to happen. But it was a great experience and I appreciate that opportunity. I finally just want to remind everybody that next week's homecoming week here at high school. And so I believe we have a volleyball game coming up on I think it's Tuesday. Am I saying that right for volleyball?
I think it was the first Wednesday.
Wednesday. Okay, thank you for clarifying. And then we also have the homecoming football game on the 2nd. And I believe we're playing Gilpin, if I'm correct. And then we have the dance on the 4th. So it's been next week, a busy week for the kiddos as they jump into homecoming mode and celebrate the beginning of the school year through homecoming. So encourage you to come out and support them, whether it's a volleyball game or the football game. It's just a great way for the community to get together and make connections. And that's what I did the last game. I think I spoke most of the game, talking to people who were coming by and just introducing themselves and watching. But I kept looking over their shoulders so I could see the plays and everything. And they did a fantastic job. So they should be proud of their work.
I would just add, as you mentioned, the homecoming event, they're doing a future gold digger event that day too. So for elementary school kids who want to learn a little bit about what it would look like to be a gold digger, there are going to be opportunities for that during that time too. So I think it's a great time to bring the whole family.
Right. I appreciate you saying that. Thank you.
Sure. Thanks. You reminded me.
Is there flag football tonight?
Flag
That's
football
right.
tonight.
Yeah, so future gold diggers tonight too. Yeah. Say, would you mind if I let the task force go first?
Oh, yeah.
Like, because I know you've got a little bit of a presentation and.
A little bit, yeah, and Tom's gotta go to football.
Right, so if you don't mind, I'll let them go first and then, yeah, we'd love to talk with you guys.
Sure. Did you get the presentation?
Yes.
Okay.
I also have a
Clicker.
Wow, look at you. You're giving me the power?
Yeah.
Dang.
got a bunch of transitions, so.
Okay. Let's. And Tom, you want to come up or you just?
You're much better at this than me.
I think are you Ethan?
Yes.
I think you moved our slides, which kind of panicked me, like
Oh.
copy them. I was like, "Ah!" But I was like, Ethan probably moved them. So, good.
Sorry about
I'm glad you have
that.
Send it back.
it. So we don't have to go through all of this again. It's the same thing that we went through last time. Just leaving it in there so it's there for posterity. Updates from the last core team update, or the last enrollment update from last meeting in August is all of the stuff in bold, but we just wanted to leave everything there so you could see what we're also continuing to work on. We continue to listen to families' feedback, which is driving some of the rest of the updates. And then we did prioritize some activities. I know last time we talked that we had a lot of things, and so we were trying to focus in on a few things and help prioritize them. So that's kind of what Tom and I have been working on, to make sure that each of the subcommittees are all kind of got some common prioritization to work towards. Data team. So data team has created a survey that we would like to get sent out to people that have recently left Clear Creek. If we can get, either if we know they've left and we've got their email addresses, or if families choose to leave as they're going on, we would like to get that into the hands of the schools so that they can send it out and we can get the exit feedback. And we continue to have interviews and collect data from families who have left. This just is giving a little more structure so that we can use this data across, years and time. They are looking at gathering a lot more data. So as soon as the enrollment numbers are available, the data team will want to look at that and compare it to previous years. Performance metrics is one that we talked about, with getting nearby schools and just like how can we work with administration to improve test scores if that's something we can help with, like helping to encourage more people to take the test, for example. So things like that. Reasons that families are opting out of tests is something that data team can look at. We've heard that we think Clear Creek is cheaper than a lot of other schools, especially charter school, like Rocky Mountain or, Country Day. So these are things that we can put together to help explain. I mean, even our activities are way cheaper than Evergreens. So things like that might help us to market. Because I think we know anecdotally some families that went to Rocky Mountain and then are like, oh, we didn't realize the financial commitment that is.
One thing I forgot to put on the list, one of our members did a comparison between Rocky Mountain and our elementary schools. It's pretty stark analysis. No food, no transportation, and a lot of travel, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we need to get that out too. I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's right.
This is from somebody that spent a lot of years there.
And then just some demographic data, just so we understand how we stack up with other counties nearby and demographics and how that can change things one way or the other. Marketing team has a lot going on, big updates. So collaboration has started with the DU Daniels School of Business. There's a faculty member there and students. They're going to support us with helping, just as part of their part of their school projects, their educational projects, to help us with some marketing and help with strategies for increasing enrollment, which is pretty cool because it helps their education too. The enrollment task force has been asked with our awesome marketing members, Stephanie, Annette, and Trevor, our three leads, to help put it together a half page that's going to go into the current, what's it called? Their sampler, yeah, which goes out to everybody, 5,000 people.
Yes, so smart.
Going to be great. We're
Do
super
that
excited.
election.
Yeah. So that's cool. And then I know you requested to have time with Stephanie and to start working on website, making sure we get that up to date. making sure that we have social, like a comms plan, social media plan. And I think you mentioned you're getting a comms person in or to help organize comms, because we really see that common communications across the schools, especially for those of us who have kids in different schools, like just really getting messages out and advertising all the awesome things that are going on here, so that builds more trust. So that's kicking off. Let's see.
Did you take
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Sorry. On the slide before this.
Yeah.
At the bottom, there was about alumni. It was surveying alumni.
Yes.
Can you tell me a little more about that and how we can?
Melanie can.
Melanie can tell you.
I'm working on that, and Wes and Michelle and I met this summer and we revised it. I had sent it to them for final publication, but something happened with our communications and that didn't occur. So maybe this weekend, I don't know.
Well, I think that that's
Thank
just
you for
a
doing that
great,
work. That's
It's just so much.
there's so much.
There's so many pieces that this thing, that you guys started.
But
And but Melanie is taking the alumni thing, and we're like immediate recent graduates, intermediate graduates, we got them back to 08.
Right.
Lady that's pontoon, PhD, climbing in the military ladder. We just got so many to feature.
And I've got, I went to the all-class reunion in July and got some feedback from some of the alumni that attended. So I shared that with the committee. We haven't really done anything with that as of yet.
Okay, I've got a question from Kelly.
More of a comment connection if you haven't already leveraged. The alumni newsletter that goes out that Einar Jensen puts together would be a great place to put the survey.
That's a
And
good
I'd be
idea.
very happy to give you his contact information,
Okay.
but he has a pretty robust list. Features some good alumni, not as young, maybe old ones. But he's a great spot. Yeah, very seasoned. But he will be able, I think, to really be helpful in the distribution there and to elevate some of those profiles if that is helpful.
And
He's done a great job with the newsletter. It's the pieces that
I don't think my kids know anything about it. They might be too young.
And I didn't mention, when you were mentioning the DAC survey, the data team does have some questions they'd like to suggest go into the DAC survey about current sentiment and where we can do better. So they've got some ideas for that. That Heidi, I think, will bring forward.
I'll be at the next meeting.
Okay.
You're on.
Finally, I'm in town and here.
You can take that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, thank you.
No, that was great. Okay, marketing. Then engagement. So one of the things I was working with Kevin, is he here today? No?
Not today.
Just talking about the data integrity on the parent portal. That's a big one that we get feedback on quite a bit. And now I understand that there's supposed to be an integration between Google Classroom and parent portal, which doesn't always work. I think that it's worse to have data that are inconsistent than like no data, or data that are updated like monthly. You know what I mean? Where it's like, because you don't, if it's inconsistent, you don't know if you're supposed to beat your kid up or not. So, you know, like, is this real or is it not real? Like, do I believe the portal thing or do I believe my kid, right?
No, and that's a big problem though, because some kids probably really do get punished.
Kevin has really worked with us on this, but this would be a huge win.
It would be a huge
This would
win.
be a huge win. If we can make that credible and valid and accurate. It has tentacles that go everywhere. Ineligibility for playing athletics somewhere, and yet, you know, it's because the system has got kinks in it. But this would be a big one.
And we understand that if the integration isn't working properly, that it is a lot of work for, you know, teachers to put the grades in. So I don't know, we just need to work on a collective strategy that we can make this something that is, you know, again, I think if you tell families, like, it isn't good, now look. Like, that's better than it just being randomly, you get the phone call every week that your kid has a DNF and you're like, is this real or not? Okay, this is another one we need some help with going forward. We would like to create a marketing event at the elementary schools to really advertise the middle school and high school here. And we know that if kids, especially in King Murphy, are talking about opting out in 5th grade and going over to the middle school in 6th grade, that paperwork and that open enrollment happens now, like it's happening Q4. So we need to get ahead of that and get out probably in October over, to the elementaries. And it would be great if, like, I even think about the presentation that was done at the open house, just to explain what is it, what kind of classes are offered, what are the athletics. So we just need to partner with some of the staff and administration to do a rah-rah at the elementary schools. So the other thing that's kind of tied into PTA and homecoming, so crossing a lot of boundaries, is that there'll be a tent next week where we're gonna like make bracelets and stuff kind of along for homecoming for just fun, like future gold digger too, or just any gold digger can make a bracelet and just celebrate school.
Thanks.
School spirit stuff. So I think that's it. The 3 priorities, and we already hit on them, is website, parent portal, and supporting those recruitment events at the elementary school this fall. So, yeah.
So I really appreciate the partnership you're making with the district. I think the effort to create awareness about the testing that happens in the springtime, making sure all students take advantage of that so we can get the results from the students will make a huge difference in our responses and our scores. We've got really high-performing elementary schools that should feed into our secondary having the same results. The second thing I want to point out to you is, or share with everybody, is that I'm looking forward to my meetings coming up with Stephanie and Trevor. Their work they're doing, because it's going to integrate really well into us increasing our communications in the district. So be on the lookout in the coming weeks on some information coming out about our website, about open enrollment starts December 2nd. And so we want to make sure, because we match the same thing with Jeffco, make sure that we get that information out in a timely manner. And making sure that communications are coming both from myself and our board members to the community about what's going on, so that people can get a sense of what's happening to support student success and our teachers too.
So have we, on the communication side, since I don't get the King Murphy communications, and I'm still not getting Carlson, or I'm still not getting the high school, middle school communications, are those communications pressing the October 1, get your kid butt here? Count day?
October count days.
I haven't seen that as highlight, so I will reach out about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And can we please, I'll just keep asking, can we please get the communications from the schools?
Yeah, that didn't happen. I know Kristen was working on it, but
I got Georgetown's.
Georgetown's the only one I got. Yeah.
I think that's one of the feedbacks we get, is one of Bailey's pet peeves, is we have to connect all these communication networks, because they're just all over.
Right.
This one, that one, and you're on the board, you're not getting these. And maybe this communications person can help draw out a schematic vision of how.
Or maybe it's one communication with links to each, like if you have a kid in middle school in King Murphy, you can click the necessary links.
I got a couple of really important ones, bumper stickers. Really, it's unbelievable when you see, I just put mine on Digger Nation, and it means something. You see that from other schools. The other one is, little things, like everybody that comes to an athletic event, parks in an athletic parking lot, what's the newest thing they're looking at when they look out is all the green grass on the baseball field. That's a big deal. That means that, and that's a communication language. Is Aaron in here?
Yeah.
He did a really good job. We practiced football yesterday. And the last one is,
We won't tell the baseball coach.
the Don't tell Coach Schuessler. Brian let us in. And also Saturday, is the grand opening.
The skate park, 4 to 8.
So all of this is the community aspect of drawing attention to us, and it'll all transfer to the school system. So, thank you for giving us the time to be here. And I couldn't do this without Eddie, I promise you that.
Thank you all for coming this evening. Great job.
One of the best
Thank-
volunteers
yeah.
we've done.
Thank you for letting us go first.
Friends coming up today too?
Hey, guys.
Yeah, okay.
Thanks for the opportunity to give you an update tonight. I'm Rachel Richardson. I teach third grade at King Murphy, and I'm the president of our teacher association. Jill, our vice president, is here too. And Melanie is a member. Yeah. All right, I'll start with some celebrations. The collective bargaining agreements for support staff and teachers have been approved by the board and the association, and the CBA's reference resolution 2019. Over 75% of Clear Creek staff have let the board know that we want resolution 2025-11 rescinded, and we continue to wait for the board to act appropriately and do the right thing and rescind it. Another celebration is we've initiated a PD planning committee, and that was negotiated from spring bargaining. Several PDs have already been planned and implemented outside of the PD committee this year, but the committee met in early September, and we discussed how PDs will be communicated, tracked, and will incorporate educators' needs and interests. I'll move on to some staff updates. Plan time is not equitable among Carlson, King Murphy, and the middle school, high school. In fact, plan time at Carlson decreased 1 hour a week this year. And the middle school, high school has lost over 3 hours per week of plan time this year. Reduction in plan time has a direct negative impact on student success. Technology issues persist at all 3 schools. I think they're getting better, but it's still a pretty big issue. We're well over a month into the school year, and I believe not all students at the middle and high school have a device. Can you confirm?
Working device.
A working device?
I think it's kind of day-to-day.
Day-to-day, okay. And we know others are still experiencing login issues. Sadly, many employees have given up on submitting IT tickets. Some have abandoned using the new Vivi technology altogether. And many of us are finding our own workarounds so we can use our classroom technology. I personally purchased some USB cables, some adapters, so I could get my dot camera working. I also spent some money and had a tech come in and rewire my Chromebook card because it takes a few hours to do it. So this has been a persisting struggle at the 3 schools. Let's see. We've heard from several new hires who were surprised when they were that they weren't informed that their first paycheck was going to be September 20th. That created an unexpected financial dilemma, as you can imagine. So I'm here to ask the district again, I wish Kristen was here, maybe she's online, to please be sure to communicate to our new hires that their first paycheck isn't until toward the end of September. During the past 6 years, educators have started work earlier and earlier each year. The district would be wise to revisit the district's payroll schedule to ensure it doesn't hinder a potential new employee from accepting a job offer, nor negatively affects the district's ability to attract new employees. I'll move on to some concerns. Clear Creek educators and association members are alarmed at the recent board policy work centered on disciplinary actions for staff. The proposed policy language on employee speech and social media use is a persisting effort of this board to squash the voices of their employees. The proposal of a special protections for the children of board members enacts inequity for Clear Creek students and increases undue liability for district employees. The association acknowledges the importance of maintaining professional standards in the workplace and protecting the integrity of the learning environment. However, we have serious concerns about the vague proposed language and that it was proposed as a direct response to protected activity by one CCSD employee. We're also concerned how the language conflicts with and overlooks important protections afforded to public employees under PROPWA or Colorado law, Public Employees Workplace Protection Act. Please hear me. First Amendment protections and the Public Employees Workplace Protection Act must be fully recognized. While the proposed added language to policy GBEE correctly acknowledges that public employees do not surrender their First Amendment rights by virtue of public employment, the language minimizes the significance of those rights and omits mention of PROPWA, which expands protections for public employees beyond what federal constitutional law provides. Under PROPWA, public employees in Colorado have the right to speak freely about matters of public concern, including conditions of public employment, school district policy, and matters affecting student welfare without fear of retribution. PROPWA explicitly prohibits employers from retaliating against employees who make such statements, even when those statements may be critical of the district or its leadership, as long as the statements do not violate narrowly defined exceptions like confidential student information or knowingly false statements. The proposed added policy language for policy GBEE is a district direct response by the board to one CCSD's employees' Facebook post in March. And it illustrates the district's disproportionately high teacher turnover and low salaries and wages compared to Summit and Gilpin school districts. That data that was posted was sourced directly from CDE's website. And I'd like to remind this board that PROPWA prohibits you from enacting and enforcing rules, policies, and actions in response to or in retaliation against protected activity by public employees. This is precisely what has happened, and the proposed policy language must be amended to expressly acknowledge employees' rights under PROPWA and include language that reflects its protections. Additionally, the proposed changes to policy GBEE are overly broad and vague, which is yet another violation of Colorado PROPWA. The proposed language includes vague language and subjective terms like create disharmony in the workplace, significantly harm the employer's image, disrupt the learning environment. PROPWA makes clear that lawful speech about workplace matters is protected, even if it makes others uncomfortable or causes internal tension. Proposed policy change needs to be revised to reflect that discomfort and disagreement are not grounds for discipline when employees are engaging in protected speech. Finally, regarding special protections from retaliation for the children of board members. The association supports policies that protect all students from retaliation or unfair treatment. All students, regardless of family affiliations or background, should be treated equitably. Creating a policy that offers specific protections for the children of board members risks implying preferential treatment, creates liability for educators, and may unfairly cast suspicion on district employees. It could also suggest potential for retaliation where there is no evidence for such conduct. If there are legitimate concerns, they should be addressed through existing processes for reporting and investigating misconduct. If educators are going to be held to a specific professional standard, it should apply to all of our Clear Creek students. To conclude, once again, I will urge the board to rescind Resolution 2025. We urge the board to collaborate with employee representatives in revising policy GEE to ensure it complies not only with federal standards, but also with the more robust protections afforded by Colorado law. The association also recommends that the board focus on reinforcing universal anti-retaliation policies that protect all students and families equally, rather than singling out one group for special consideration. Thanks for the opportunity to speak tonight. We look forward to a board who upholds fairness, inspires trust among students, families, and staff, and policy work that is appropriate, equitable, and adheres to both federal and state laws. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. We had our duck update. Any members of the PTOs, PTAs, or Booster Club? I don't think I'm seeing any.
I'm a member of the PTO.
Are you prepared to make a, okay.
No.
Nobody had said that there was a message today, so I
No.
wasn't expecting anybody. But, thank you. We'll move on to our resolution in support of the 2025 Colorado State Ballot Propositions MM and LL, providing funding for Healthy School Meals for All program.
Well, we're looking at Kelly. Is this your last one you get the reading?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, I'm gonna miss this.
Oh, thanks. I think as I mentioned briefly in my update, we've looked at the state ballot question and looked at ways that this board and this school district could provide some support for this ballot question prior to ballots being mailed out, so that maybe there could be an impact on this. And so really what this is talking about is that state funding measure that looks to provide funding for school meals, but also any additional funding that would be able to come in, which the calculations have shown that there would be an excess of what the school districts around the state would need, and that those funds would be allocated to SNAP administration, outreach, and education. SNAP stands for the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, commonly referred to as food stamps. And so this is really how local governments could manage the outreach, the education, and the administration of that program using any excess funds from this ballot question. That was passed in the special session. That's why it's changed a little bit, and that's why we've been asked to pass this resolution. With that background, I would move that we pass Clear Creek School District RE1 Resolution Number 2025-14. Support for the 2025 Colorado State Ballot Propositions MM and LL, providing funding for the Healthy School Meals for All program. Whereas the Clear Creek School District Board of Education believes that children learn best when they have adequate nutrition and access to healthy school meals. Whereas the Board of Education believes that historical financial requirements for meal benefits eligibility left many needy families without coverage, particularly in Clear Creek County, whose residents bear higher costs of living. Whereas in 2022, Colorado voters approved Proposition FF, establishing the Healthy School Meals for All program and funding it by limiting state income tax deductions for individuals with annual incomes of $300,000 or more. Whereas the program provides healthy school meals for all students regardless of economic status, helps districts with investment in local food purchasing, and provides local food purchasing training and technical assistance. Whereas since the 2023-2024 launch, the program has reduced stigma, increased student access to healthy meals, improved student physical and mental health and well-being, boosted academic success, saved families money statewide, and reduced paperwork burdens on families and schools. Whereas in the Clear Creek School District, the Healthy School Meals for All program has delivered numerous additional benefits, including permitting the school district to offer more food options, including vegetarian, dairy-free, and gluten-free meals, manage more predictable demand, reduce food waste, and further support the purchase of fresh food. Whereas due to increased demand, rising food costs, and change in federal reimbursements, the program's annual cost is now projected at $150 million, significantly higher than the initial estimate of $48 to $78 million. Whereas two legislatively referred ballot measures, the Allow States to Retain Revenue from Proposition FF measure and the Tax Deduction and Revenue for School Meals measure, would support the Healthy School Meals for All program. The former would allow Colorado to retain tax revenue collected above the initial estimates for Proposition FF, and the latter would modify tax law to generate an additional $95 million annually for the program. Whereas if both measures are rejected, fiscal analysts have determined the program will end after the 2025-2026 school year, and Clear Creek School District anticipates significant impact beginning in its second semester of the current school year. Whereas passing both ballot measures would enable the program to continue supporting students, educators, and districts despite the financial and logistical challenge to its continued success. And whereas the board declares that the Allow State to Retain Revenue from Proposition FF measure and the tax deduction for revenue and school meals measure are matters of official concern. Now therefore be it resolved that the Clear Creek Board of Education officially declares its support for the Allow State to Retain Revenue from Proposition FF and tax deductions and revenue for school meals measure, as these initiatives will ensure the continuation and expansion of the Healthy School Meals for All program, an important benefit to Colorado's families and students. And be it further resolved that the school district shall post this resolution and distribute it to school district staff and parents in all the predominantly used languages of the district, and shall broadly communicate the commitments of this resolution. Adopted this 25th day of September 2025.
Here, second. All right, Flanagan?
Yes.
Haig? Yes. King? Yes. McHugh?
Yes.
North?
Yes. Aaron. How are you this evening?
Good.
Thanks for walking us through the maintenance contract this evening.
Of course, thank you for allowing us on to tonight's agenda. And thank you, Carrie Ann, for bringing the contract into awareness last meeting. Looking into the ORC contract that we had for the operation of our wastewater treatment plant. I knew that we were under contract. I didn't know exactly when that contract was to expire or if we were still under contract. So I reached out to ORC to see if we were under contract. They believed that we were under contract. Under further investigation on their end, noticed that we had not signed that contract And it was sent out last year to Justin and Justin's email. So that is why we did not receive the contract at that time. This new contract, or the contract that was sent out last year, is for a 3-year term, ending December 31st of 2027. We, by law, have to have a licensed contractor to run the wastewater treatment plant. ORC has been our contractor for many years, and I would be willing to say since this school opened. I did pull the previous contract in comparison to the contract that we're supposed to be in now, and there's only roughly $100 difference from that contract to this contract. We could go out now and look for other contractors. It's my opinion that we sign this contract as it binds us for the next 2 years at a $100 difference in the contracts that we've been in, so that we can adequately look for competitive offers in 2 years, other than rushing out right now and going into a contract with them or a different company. Yeah.
Aaron, I'm looking at the spreadsheet here for the expenses, and I'm wondering where this data was mined, because there was one expense that I had seen in my notes earlier. I couldn't tell you where they're at right now, but there was a $5,000 charge just for investigating a problem, and I don't see that in this list.
In which list are you referring
The
to?
Excel spreadsheet of our 24-25 expenses.
Okay,
Has across the board.
What's that?
Yeah. King Murphy instead of the high school.
That could be.
so that $1,200,
See the other tab, thanks.
the $1,200 monthly fee is the base rate for ORC to run the treatment plant. Any other additional costs are in in the rate sheet. And they are, per the contract language, ORC is able to seek any consultation or outside repair for equipment down there as needed to properly run that plant. So yes, we are on the hook for those expenses. Those expenses do come up without notice because they don't expect that. And I believe this particular cost was a grinder pump that had failed and that needed replaced in a timely fashion.
See, is there any possibility that we could finish out just this year and do an RFP for moving forward?
I think that's something that I could reach out to ORC to amend this contract and see if we can just have a yearly contract with them.
We're in October
We're in
Essentially.
October, yeah.
of this year. Would that give you enough time to research and get proposals back?
I do have, I believe so. I did contact one company this week and have a walkthrough with them. It's not on the schedule, but they believe that next week they would be willing to do that. They do service the area. I've seen them around. I believe they operate Georgetown's wastewater treatment plant. They do some work in Empire. So that company is out there. I did reach out to another company, but haven't heard back from them yet. So this, because of the extent of it, I think we would go out to an RFP instead of just a proposal or just a quote, so that we get a like for like
Yeah.
quote back. And
Essentially, you take their service contract and say, hey, guys, we need to know what your number is.
we need this,
Right.
exactly. But I just want to do that with best intention or so
Sure.
that we're not rushing the process.
Yeah, if you feel like you can do it, I think it is a wise thing, just because we have been with them so long and we don't know what the pricing might be otherwise, that it would really be responsible of us to look at what some other operators would be charging. Yeah. that
I
would be
agree.
My thought.
I'm not sure if they would be open to a 1-year term or not. But that is a question I will pose to them next week and get a response back to you.
Any other discussion? Would we like to give permission to move forward, or do we?
I am really uncomfortable with signing a 3-year contract at this point, even though the year is almost done kind of thing. But I also know legally that we have to have a water operator, but we can also do a temporary contract with somebody else too, if we had to. But I would think that they would be very confident in their pricing and the services that they provided us, that they are okay with us looking at the other options, I would think. But
I would think, other than the fact that we're negligible at this time.
so are they.
That's what I was gonna say. I mean, they're the ones that sent it to the wrong.
The wrong.
And not just like the recent wrong, but like a
Two,
year,
right.
multiple other people wrong.
I think that they're aware of that because they thought that we had signed the contract, and that got pushed off to another member within their organization who came back and said, no, they did not sign, so.
Right. So, yeah, I would think, do what you can, see how that plays out. And, if it works, that we can get them to, continue on to the end of the year to give you time to collect RFPs, then we can look at RFPs in December or January. Well, it would need to be December.
Mhm.
In order to know what that cost and pricing. I mean, I think there is a lot of value to having an operator that already knows the system, right? But at the same time, maybe fresh eyes are good too.
Yeah, it's not that extensive of equipment, and the other companies that we would bring in are very familiar with similar structures. I guess one downside I will say is that if we don't, and this is just, I'm just throwing it out there for your thoughts. If we don't sign this 3-year contract, then we are liable for them to also up the prices if quicker than the 3-year is up, so.
I think that's a really good flag. I think that's really likely that we would see. I might suggest that it might be worth just some kind of looking, as we do. I think we need to get in compliance. We need to have the contracts. So we don't get nickel and dimed on all the things that fall outside of that, which I think is a very real possibility. But maybe as we slow roll the sign, we could look to see if the pricing from the other provider is competitive or not. Because I think that we could find that answer out pretty darn quick. And then protect us in the long term if that is in fact what we see by doing a 3-year. But I'm wondering if maybe you could do a kind of a cold call solicitation to the couple of providers that you've seen, just to kind of get an idea of scope and cost, so that you could then be like, oh, they're going to be completely different or require different maintenance agreements or different types of equipment to be installed or changed or something that ups our cost requirement. But I'm wondering if you could do some of that kind of just for information, kind of RFI type of thing, where I'm just trying to gather some information, and then maybe, they waited 3 years to have a contract, so maybe they could wait 3 more weeks.
I don't disagree. And the company that I did reach out to and have plans to walk the site with did mention that he would be able to come back with numbers relatively
Are
quickly.
you allowed to say that company's name?
Ramey Environmental. There's a very limited, and I went to the Colorado Department of Health online. There's a very limited amount of contractors that have an A license that ORC has to operate that building. Like I said, I came up with 3 that service this area.
I mean, I figured that the net is probably a pretty small one, so you could get some kind of quick quick data
Right.
points that I think would be helpful and provide a little bit of comfort for a longer term contract. But I think your flag is right on the money and we should absolutely hear that with both of our ears. That is very likely to happen.
Ramey will likely be triple the pricing.
Yeah, and
So
that's,
you're
that's
looking
what
at the look-
going out,
Middle guy in between that. Ramey is the highest charged.
that's what going out for RFI is seeing where we're at with ORC. But overall, in my tenure and knowing ORC, I've worked with them previously as well. They're a good organization and I think they've been doing well for us here, but it never hurts to look for additional savings, so.
Would everybody feel comfortable making a motion to do the RFI? And if the other numbers come back significantly higher, that we're comfortable moving forward with the 3-year contract that we have in front of us?
Do we need that to be a motion? I'm
No.
comfortable making that, but I don't know that we need to do that. It seems that we've given some direction there and could come
And we're
back
waiting
and
for more
present that
information.
information, at which point.
Well, it's another month out. Yeah. It's just.
I think I could have some solid numbers back
Get his
with,
job done.
within the next couple weeks.
I'll send you a couple of other operator names. as
Sounds
well,
great.
So that you can.
Appreciate that, yeah.
Okay.
Who you're using in 2015 also.
We weren't using ORC in 2015?
It looks like it started in 2018.
Okay, yeah, great,
See, teamwork.
Thank you, Erin.
awesome.
Thanks, Jen.
Thank you all.
Erin.
Thanks, Erin. All right, policy work.
Yay.
All right, under first read, policy JICDE with language added for protecting students from retaliation due to a parent's role as a board member. I did hear from our educators, and I know that I raised some concerns about how it was phrased. I do like the suggestion that we look at kind of bridging it to cover everyone. Right now, the language really just looks at bullying student on student. So if, we wanted to make it broader, I would absolutely be willing to sit down with educators to work out some different verbiage.
I agree, and I'm fine with it covering, all students for sure. When I looked back at other policies, about bullying or anti-discrimination, it didn't seem like there was any sort of language that covered students in general from a teacher specifically,
Right.
whether it's like kind of an emotional abuse or something like that, whatever you want to.
Retaliation, whatever.
Retaliation, whatever you want to term that, it didn't really seem covered in any other policy. And so, I think if we, if you work with educators, if we talk to Brent about, what should this verbiage say in this policy to cover all students, to make sure that, Wes, if you had to address, a teacher's conduct in some sort of way, you have a policy to back you up on, what you need to do there. I think that's really kind of the goal of it. So if it is reworded to cover all students, I'm totally fine with that.
I think so too, and I think, and I've heard a lot from educators, I've heard a lot from people who have varying levels of interest in serving on the Board of Education, and I've heard from my children. And I do think that there does need to be something about adults to children. And I know that it's not just school board children, and so I could appreciate expanding that out, because I have heard more than just one incident of teachers not acting appropriately to students and causing emotional harm, distress, and some abuse. And so I do think it's really important, and I would be totally fine with the idea of working a little bit collaboratively, verifying with Brent the legality of all of that. But I think we need more than student to student. And so if we can accommodate that, I would feel great about that.
Then
So we're
we'll
gonna pause
Pause that one, yes. All right, policies on second read, JRA, JRC, student records, release of information to students. I just want to elevate that this is, no one can view a student's record without parent permission, ever. And it's once, at a time. So it's not a blanket, like I've given permission for access to my kids' information. It is this specific day, reason, time. Yeah. Is there any other questions or comments? All right, then we'll move to.
I would move to approve policy JRA/JRC, student records and release of information to
move.
students.
Come on, let's get this done.
Yes.
Yes.
King? Yes. McHugh?
Yes.
No.
Yes, thank you. Policy KLG, relations with state and federal agencies. So I didn't have any additional notes for that one.
Can we just kind of say what this is? Can you give us the short sheet on what this actually says?
I appreciate the opportunity. I was going to mention something
Thank
about
you.
this. So,
I felt the verb.
Yeah. So CDE sent a one pager that I shared with the principals of their schools today that gives them guidelines that when you register a student, that you're not mandatorily required to collect documentation that would provide the student status, so that they would not be, basically it's prevention of raids of schools by ICE. So, I've given that information to the principals, and now they have the guidelines based off of the state statute that this is built off of.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure.
I think another just important point is that this is in alignment with state law. So we don't have a lot of flexibility about the parts we love, the parts we don't love, if we even like it at all. We are obligated to comply with state and federal agencies and law. And I think this is the policy that makes sure that that's very clear. With that, I would move to approve policy KLG, relations with state and federal agencies.
Second.
Flanagan? Yes.
Haig?
Yes.
King? Yes. McHugh? Yes.
North?
Yes. Then policy KLGR is just more specifically the relations of federal immigration officials.
When I like on this one that we've designated who the district's designated employee is, that's the building principal. If that person is unavailable, they pick a designee. So I really appreciate calling those couple of individual pieces out so that it eliminates any ambiguity around who is the designated person. And again, I think this is in compliance with and required by law to adopt this policy. With that, I move to adopt KLG-R, relations with federal immigration officials. I'll second.
Flanagan?
Yes.
Haig?
Yes.
King?
Yes.
McHugh? Yes.
North?
Yes. Say, more policy. Policy ACA, name changes. I just wanted to highlight for this one that, again, it's not changes to the permanent record, and parents are contacted before any permanent changes would be made. It really just allows a student who is attending the school to be called by the name that they're most comfortable with. I think back to coaching and having Benjamin, his mother corrected me every time I called him Ben. But at practice, I built rapport and he was Ben because that's what he asked to be called. So that's really what we want to do, is create a space where students feel safe, heard, seen. But yeah, we're not making any permanent changes to their permanent records. It will be updated in Infinite Campus, and both students and parents have access to that, so no secrets.
This is just basically a policy that they said we needed to update, not necessarily that there's an issue here within our district or anything like that. You know, my kiddo went through the school district with 6 middle names, and I think she used 5 of them during her career here, so, and everybody was great about that, so I mean, identity is a thing, certainly during those ages.
Is there any other discussion?
And move to approve.
Excellent.
I'll second.
Flanagan?
Yes.
Haig? Yes. King?
Yes.
McHugh? Yes. North?
Yes. Policy IJ, instructional resources and materials. So there were, I know a couple comments online, some feedback, just again, asking for I don't know, fair and balanced access to resources, and that I think is very clearly stated in the policy, so
May I add?
absolutely.
So one of the things that it's, I want to make sure that the community understands is that parents always have the final decision on what their student
Has access
needs
to.
and accesses at school. So I just want to make sure parents understand that if they choose not to have their student read a certain book or these materials, they have the right to choose out of it.
So moved.
Second.
Hennecken?
Yes.
Haig? Yes. King? Yes. McHugh? Yes. Norm?
Yes. Policy JICA, student dress code. I don't think we had any.
I would kind of students asked to, if it's out of compliance, work with the student and their parents first before any consequences are implemented, so.
Yeah, I had heard just some questions about who was flagging dress code violations up here at the school. Like, is that settled?
I didn't know those
Okay.
issues, so thank you for bringing it to my attention.
Okay.
Say that it's,
We've got some educators in the room that might be able
Enforcing
to-
dress code policy, I wish the best to them.
We used to have to
It's a
line
better-
up and the nuns would approve us.
Bless you.
'Cause, yeah, I had a very long-legged child and it was very difficult to find. I'm so sorry for all the things that you had to.
I tried to put her boots on once. They came up to tear up.
But yeah, unless there's any other.
I move to approve.
I'll second.
Hennecken?
Yes.
Haig?
Yes.
King? Yes. McHugh? Yes. Norm?
Yes. Policy JLCD, administering. Blah, 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 blah.
JICJ.
What did I say?
Yeah.
Oh, JICJ, yes. Student use of cell phones. I checked it because I was getting ready to say it.
Yeah.
So if I can speak,
Yes.
this came up during the forum, that was for the superintendent breakfast the other day.
Mhm.
And I want to reassure the public, our parents out there, that the policy that is being used here at the school as far as access by students to technology and the personal devices, it's out of sight, out of mind, not locked away from the students. So they're always in reach of the students. They keep them in their backpacks. They're not in their lockers. They're in their backpacks. So if they need to have an emergency situation, they can retrieve that to have access to that.
I think that's a really important piece. I also feel really strongly about this policy and feel like it is really important that we have a policy that limits the disruption that personal devices have during the day. I like the ability that if there's an emergency and you really need to do something, that you can get it out of your backpack. I will say my personal opinion is that in times of crisis, that is actually very unhelpful, in my opinion. And receiving tons of feedback from tons of people and bad information adds chaos to crisis, which is never good. So as much as I feel my own personal opinion around some of these elements, I really like the middle ground that this policy strikes, that I think provides parents and students with a level of comfort in this space. And I think what I am hearing from parents is they're really pleased with this policy, feel like it is going well. And I'm hearing, anecdotally that kids are interacting with each other and not screens, which I think is also awesome. So I think we have struck a really great balance here. I would like to move to approve
May I, before you do
JICJ.
that?
Well, we can.
Well, I can do discussion
Yeah.
afterwards, go ahead.
Yeah, so I moved it.
Okay, yeah. The only thing that
We need a
And-
second and then you can just,
or you do discussion and then you do a second. It can go either way. Whatever
should be
you want to
second.
do.
let's second and then, I need a second and then we'll.
Second.
Go ahead,
So
discussion.
the only concern that I have about this particular policy is the turning off of the PTD. Yes, putting it in your backpack and all of that, but this requires it to be turned off. In an active shooter situation, if that kiddo were to grab his phone and turn it on, bing, bing, bing.
Yeah.
So there's noises that happen when you do turn on the phone. And then also, obviously, they can contact the office about an emergency situation, the family and whatnot, but some kiddos have that special ring, like this is an emergency. And if it's turned off, they wouldn't necessarily get that emergency call as soon as. So those are the two concerns I have with turning off the phone. I like getting the phone out of the classroom. I like putting it away, putting it on,
Put
do
it
not
silent.
disturb, silent, something like that, but I do not like the turn off. That's just my opinion.
Any other thoughts, discussion?
That makes sense to me. I mean, I think it's still gonna be out of sight, out of mind, whether it's on or off, and as long as it's not making noises, yeah, disruptive notifications.
Can we just strike where it says turn off or amend to have it say silenced or?
I would amend my motion. I'd be willing to amend my motion that we approve policy JICJ with an edit to the third paragraph that states students with cell phones or other personal technology devices must keep their devices silent, away, and out of sight during school hours.
And then also within that same paragraph, there's another section where it says turned off. So I would replace turned off with silent. So that's my amended motion.
Yeah, I'll second that. Flanagan?
Yes.
Haig?
Yes.
King?
Yes.
McHugh? Yes. North?
Yes,
Thank you, ladies.
thank you. All right, policy JLCD, administering medications to students. I think we've kind of discussed all of the comments that were shared, so unless there's any other discussion, I'll look for a motion.
My only comment is on page 2, maybe, under unused medication. Just a typo, we need a space between guardian and will.
We're doing the
Oh,
German
yeah.
version.
Yes.
Otherwise, I think that the issues that we talked about and the concerns that we have been addressed. And I would move to approve policy JLCD, administering medications to students.
I'll second that. Flanagan?
Yes.
Haig? Yes. King? Yes. McHugh? Yes. North?
Yes. Policy KEC, public concerns and complaints about instructional
Yeah,
materials.
one more.
No.
JLCD.
JLCDR.
There you go.
Man.
At least she's pushing us forward, guys.
There's 2 administering medications to students. So, yeah, this is -R. Any spaces required?
Yeah, no, I don't see anything on this one. I would move to approve this one.
Second.
Flanagan?
Yes.
Haig? Yes. King?
Yes.
McHugh? Yes. North?
Yes. Now policy KEC, public concerns and complaints about instructional materials and library resources.
Wes, do you have any comments here?
No, it goes along with the one we
That's what I
approved, the previous one.
I appreciate the change of shalls to wills. I always like shalls to wills. I would move to approve policy KEC, public concerns, complaints about instructional materials and library resources.
I'll second. Flanagan?
Yes.
Haig? Yes. King?
Yes.
McHugh? Yes. North?
Yes. All right, policy AC, non-discrimination and equal employment.
Do we have any comments on this one?
I had somebody pull me aside at a volleyball game and they
Oh, wait,
showed them.
good.
That's GBEE.
Yeah, let's do
Yeah.
that.
I don't think we had anything
I
on
don't think we
AC.
had it.
Okay,
Yeah,
so I think I was able to answer questions.
okay.
With volleyball, yeah.
I move to approve.
Second.
Flanagan?
Yes.
Haig? Yes. King? Yes. McHugh? Yes. North?
Yes. All right, for policy GBEE, staff use of technology. A couple things, like that there was a typo in the blue portion that says student, not employee, but I would like to spend a little bit of time on this too. Thank you for lifting up Prop 1. So I would, again, be willing to work on this collaboratively.
I think we should table it.
I do too, but I would like to make a few comments before we do that. I think
Okay.
it's a very bold and an incorrect assumption on the part of CCCEA to assume that this policy is directed as a result of one employee's post.
I have no idea what they're talking
Yeah,
about.
that is a,
I do not even know.
so that is an incorrect assumption, and unhelpful, I think, as we try to work together. I think that there's lots of things that members of the board see that everyone else does not see. And so I would encourage the board or the association to act appropriately in their assumption of why the board does the work that we do. I would also point out that this policy very clearly supports some of the feedback that we received around using social media as a tool for educational purposes or for collaboration with other peers around the state. That is in no way what this policy is designed to do, and nor does it say that. So I think those are a few important things to elevate. I think that it is a privilege to use technology provided by your employer, especially if you're using that technology on the time that you are working for your employer. And that it is a reasonable expectation that that is done within guidelines and within policy. We are not suggesting that you could not use technology or social media in any way that violates First Amendment rights. I don't think that that is ever an intention of any governing body to limit First Amendment rights, and it certainly isn't the intention of this body. And so while I agree that there could be some work done, I think it's very clear that we point out why we're talking about this and what this policy does do, what this policy does not do, and our commitment to First Amendment open and transparent communication. I think this board, probably more so than many that I sit on, appreciate our small town community and the fact that we do wear different hats at different times and we communicate differently. Again, this isn't in response to that. And I think it's really important that that's on the message. And I think it's really important that you communicate that to your members. And that's all I'll say on that, but I would be fine to table that to do some additional work.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of work, just because I do know with some of the technology issues as well, this policy says no personal devices. And to get the job done, I know that some educators are having to, so it's into kind of a precarious place. So while we're moving and growing and changing our technology here too. So there were a couple pieces, but thank you. So we'll table GBEE. GBJ, personnel records and files.
This one, oh, wait a second. I'm sorry, I'm confused with the blue edits after the study session. Is that just capitalizing you, Wes? Because that, I mean, because our note says no changes, but then the
I don't know
policy
why.
itself says blue edits after, but I only see a capital S and I want to make sure that's.
That might be the only reason, because
Yeah, that was in August.
Okay.
The only changes made.
Okay.
This is our September 16th.
Great, thank you. I would move
We
to
do have to
approve
vote to
policy
table them. Okay.
GBJ, personnel records and files.
I'll second.
Flanagan,
Yes.
Haig,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
McHugh,
Yes.
Norton.
Yes. And my great parliamentarian beside me is reminding me that we need to go back and vote to table policy JICDE and then also GBEE.
I so move.
Second.
Flanagan,
Yes.
Haig,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
McHugh,
Yes.
Norton.
Yes, thank you, ladies. Policy IKF-E, this is for middle school students taking high school level courses so that those course credits can be counted toward their high school career. And it's not just math, it's language too.
yes.
It's whatever they might be advanced in, so.
I move to approve policy IKF-E, middle school students taking high school level courses.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Flanagan,
Yes.
Haig,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
McHugh, yes, Norton.
Yes. Policy IKF-B, graduation exercises.
Move to approve.
I'll second.
Flanagan?
Yes.
Haig?
Yes.
King?
Yes.
McHugh? Yes.
Yes. Policy JS, student use of technology.
I would just have the question if there's anything in here that we also feel like should be addressed as we're looking at staff use of technology to make sure that we're consistent. I don't know if we need to, but I do just wonder if there's any piece in there that we've not addressed that might be worth kind of a deeper dive as we're looking at staff use. Just a question. Anybody can answer it.
So you're saying a separate
I'm just
policy for
wondering.
staff?
Well, we've got this one that we've tabled for the staff use, and I'm talking about personal device and what tools are available or not available, and hearing that maybe kids are having devices that aren't working, and are they bringing their own? I'm wondering if that is something.
We look
that
at them
we
at
need
the
to
same
be looking
stream.
at the same time to make sure some of those incongruencies, if they exist, can be adjusted in both of those. I don't know if that's true, but I know that there are students who are not able to use the district devices and may be using their own personal devices.
Yes.
So I'm.
Because we highlight IEPs and 504s, but not ALPs. That was a comment too, so.
And then I heard that some of the Chromebooks were broken and kids were using their own for school. I don't know if that's true, but just kind of had heard that through the grapevine. So I don't know.
Yeah, I'd be glad
But
to.
that's why I would elevate that if we want to just make sure. And if everybody feels that it's good, then I can.
I think it's wise to look at it in the same vein as the teacher use of technology in case something does come up during that conversation. So I would move the table it.
Yeah, I'll second.
Flanagan?
Yes.
Haig?
Yes.
King?
Yes.
McHugh? Yes.
Yes. On the consent agenda, we have minutes from August 12th, 2025 study session with the county commissioners. From that same date, our study session, and also that same date, the special meeting with executive session. There's also minutes from August 28th, 2025 business meeting and a staffing update.
I'd move to approve the consent agenda. I'll second.
Flanagan?
Yes.
Haig?
Yes.
King?
Yes.
McHugh? Yes.
Yes. Are there any future agenda items that are pressing? Would you like to go to the football game?
Ashley, would you still like to give public comment?
Am I doing the agenda? meeting?
It's changed a little bit since this meeting, but I can go ahead and say what I was going to say and then just be aware of, like, I'm not done reaching out, so. that's what
Yeah, sure.
Except for emails for me. But yeah, sorry, it's on my phone, so just give me a second. So obviously you guys know me, I'm Ashley Rainey, I've got a student at King Murphy.
Do me a favor, could you just say after we,
Do you want me to
so
step up? Yeah,
people
sorry.
can hear you.
Do I can sit, right? I don't need to sit. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Just so you know, you have 3 minutes.
3 minutes. Okay, I will talk fast naturally because I haven't had to do this since college. So we'll see how this goes. So I know right now that we're all still coping with the tragedy that happened at Evergreen High School. It's a lot to process for everyone. Luckily, my son is young and doesn't realize, what actually happened. I just want to thank all of you guys for being here and listening to some of my concerns and throughout the week. I appreciate everybody, Carrie Ann, especially reaching out west, talking to you, Jessica and Erica. So we should be able to send our kids to school without the fear of them being shot or killed. But unfortunately, that's not the world that we live in today. So I'm just asking that we prioritize student safety. And I understand that there is a limited budget. So I'm just asking for the board, principals, everybody to be open to different solutions from people in the community. I hope that, we can continue the conversation, that this doesn't just stop, in 2 weeks whenever everybody's kind of moved on from it. Like, I want it to be at the forefront and continue to have conversations. There is a few areas that I brought up with security issues with King Murphy. I'm obviously not going to talk about those areas, but I think it is a priority, and I think it would help keep, teachers safe, and then also our students. Also, the response time, which is
a huge issue in my opinion with, 8 to 10 minutes for Jeffco, 20 minutes for Clear Creek. I think that's my biggest concern is just every second counts. So I'm just hoping that the board would be supportive of, having student volunteers. I know you guys brought up the Watchdog program, but I think while I love the program and I love that idea, I think that there still needs to be some supplemental assistance with that. And so, I just ask that we continue the conversation. I know it's a complex issue and there's not an easy answer, for where everybody feels happy. And so I just want to, say that now's the time to make a change. And thank you all for your time. And I'll continue to work with our PTA. And maybe it needs to be brought on, a bigger scale of different people throughout the district as well. So thank you guys for your time.
We're
Yes.
not allowed to respond, but I want to
Oh.
remind you about the long range
Beat me
committee.
to it.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
Beat me to it.
Yeah.
And I asked you a question about who, so I asked you, do you mind joining us on Thursday the 9th at 5:30 to meet with the Long Range Planning Committee?
I can do that, yes.
So we'll get your information and send you an email invitation to join us. We have 3 very involved folks in our community. We're on that, and I appreciate your perspective because they're more looking at the physical plant part of it and having you talk about the safety and security thing part of it would be greatly appreciated.
Yeah, no, and then I've got a couple of other parents that have reached out to me as well that are like actual law enforcement. I'm not law enforcement. I'm not claiming to be. I have a criminal justice degree, but I do natural gas scheduling. So I haven't used it, but I know that there are parents that are like wanting to get involved with law enforcement. And so I can reach out to them as well to continue the conversation.
Thank
So
you.
Thank you.
thank you all. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Is Ashley our only public comment?
So for future agenda items, I would like to see either that Aaron has gotten us under contract with LifeSpot, or if it exceeds his limit, that he's brought it to us to get approved.
Okay.
We've seen that, it was back in May, let's get this one in front of us.
I have, Aaron has followed up with them and I do have a price quote from them.
What do we have?
You want to know what the price quote is? Gosh
Like
darn it.
17, I think is what I.
No, it's, for every staff member to have access, it would be $10,000, $10,320
Please encourage him.
For
to enter
total?
a contract.
That's the
for
total?
for 1 year.
And so all law
It's a
enforcement is
subscription.
free. So we don't get charged for any of that. It's just our staff and our educators.
I just wanted to make sure it
Every
wasn't $10,000 per person. per
Right,
year.
no.
That was my
That's-
clarification. Wait a minute.
It's $6.
$6
Per month.
No, $6 per year.
We got a price of $5 and it's 172 employees because we're including substitutes, teachers.
Okay, great,
and so forth.
great.
So
Please work with Aaron.
I must have missed a meeting where we talked about that. It's basically just a system that
Sorry, this was
teacher
a safety
calls.
meeting.
I'm
Oh.
sorry, it's the active
Okay.
situation. It's the one that lets all of law enforcement and everybody that has the app on their phone know, hey, there's been an incident, and then they get to know before even 911 knows about it, and everybody's locking down their rooms. The teachers know before law enforcement even shows up because they've got it on here. There are some features of it that are pretty fantastic, such as there are options to say, just saw the shooter, here's the location. It's just it's all encompassing.
And then just to clarify, you said everyone? Is it everyone, the public, or is it everyone
No.
in the building?
Educators,
It's
administrators.
From food
Yeah.
service to facility management to substitute teachers to teachers in the classroom,
Yes.
everyone have access to it.
Got it. And all buildings, GCS included.
Correct.
Thanks. I was confused also. I was like, I must
I'm
have.
like, I haven't missed it.
Sorry,
I'm like,
and
oh.
then I thought it was Life Alert, which is not the same.
No.
So I was being very confused.
I can't get up.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Carrie, for putting some flesh on that.
No, that's great. Thank you
Sure.
for getting that taken care of.
Yeah.
So that's what we wanted to look at.
You had asked earlier, I'm working on agenda planning this month.
Yes.
And then I think you're next.
Oh.
Okay, that way she's not planning for a meeting she won't be at.
Yeah, got it.
Just like that, but yeah. So,
Or, no, I'm just kidding. Just
say, yeah, that was an assumption that you would say, oh, thank you, bye. But I would look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved. I'll second.
Huntington?
Yes.
Kay?
Yes.
King?
Yes.
McHugh? Yes.
Yes.